My name is Alicia Schumann, and I just wanted to share my story about how Vibrant Fitness classes came about. So, God gave me a vision for my own group fitness studio at the end of summer, beginning of fall of 2016. Leading up to that, I had been an online health and fitness coach where I just coached women in fitness and nutrition and mindset thinking. And I had been doing that for about a year and a half when God really shifted the way that I started coaching them and really gave me a heart to do it one-on-one, like in person with people and not just online. So I am not typically a visionary. I am a person who sees all the little details in between, and God gave me an end result. And I had no idea what to do with that. I, for a little while, struggled with knowing where to begin, what I even needed for that. And I had reached out to a friend and business coach, and she really suggested that, well, if you're going to own your own fitness studio, the first thing that you need to do is get your group fitness certification. So I was like, okay, well, that's just what I'm going to do because that's obviously what I need to do first. So I just jumped on it. I ordered my materials, and they literally sat for 2 months. So in October of 2016, I ordered the materials, and they sat because that was holiday time. My boys were just finishing up playing football, and so they sat there for 2 months. And over that time, some good friends of ours that God had brought into our life the year before were sharing their heart for a dream that God had placed in their hearts and a building in town that they felt that the Lord was bringing them to and their vision for it. And one of the things that they wanted to do with it is to just, bring people who God has also given a dream but needs a place to do it, giving them a place in this building. And I knew it was an instant connection, another reason that God had brought us together. But I still didn't know what that meant moving forward. So they took us on a tour of the building, and I felt a peace in one part of the building, and I said, this is it, this is where it's going to be, I just know it. And so that was in October, November-ish of 2016. Well, after the new year, I knew I needed to get started because I had 6 months to register for my group fitness exam, and that meant May. By the end of May, I need to be studied, ready to take this exam. And so I knew I needed to get on it, but I had other distractions I was allowing to come into my life, and I just thought, well, I just kept procrastinating pretty much. But by the time May came, and all the while I'm still online coaching and just really feeling this tug in my heart that God is really pulling me to do this and to coach differently and to help people change their mindsets and the way that they approach their health and fitness. And so May came, and I registered for my exam, but I still wasn't prepared, so I picked the furthest date out possible, which was August. And then over the summer, it's summer, my kids are home, it's the busiest time of year for my husband, my cousin was living with us, there was just so much activity, and I wasn't giving priority to what God had called me to do. And so there was a lot of not needed stress, and so August came, and I drove to the exam site, I took the test, and I passed. Not with flying colors, but I passed. And I just had such this burden come off, and I was like, oh, good. But now what? Now what was I going to do? I really felt like I just wanted to take a break. I didn't feel that the Lord was saying take a break, but I just felt like we're coming into a busy season of our boys playing football again. My cousin was leaving, and my husband was slowing down at work, and I was just like, okay, this is going to be a rest time. Lord, I'm going to wait to hear what your next step is, but I feel like it's going to be a rest time. And then I was approached with an opportunity to coach a middle school girls volleyball team. And I love volleyball. I played volleyball in high school. It's one of my passions. I loved it, and I was so honored and humbled, and I wanted to make it work. I wanted to do it. But I felt like it was an integrity check. I felt like after talking with my husband, I really felt like while this is a good thing and a great opportunity, and I was humbled by it, it wasn't what God had for me. Even though I was trying to justify all the things, like I could teach to these girls, I could help them at such a young age, help them mold their thinking along the lines of health and fitness and really help them be free in their mindsets and how they view themselves and not deal with some of the struggles that adult women have to go through. Like it would have been a great opportunity for ministry. And so I had all these lists of reasons why I could and why I should, but there just wasn't quite a peace about that, and I wasn't exactly sure why until later. So I declined the offer, which was so hard, because I was also battling the feeling of being unqualified. Like I wouldn't be able to do it because I'm unqualified, because I don't have a degree. I've never coached. I just love it so much, and my skill level isn't what other people's were, and so there was a lot of negatives. I thought, well, if I do this, then it's combating those fears, and it would be a way for me to just really walk it out. But I declined the opportunity, and what I came to realize is that God had other plans for that fall. There is a ministry called Revelation Wellness, and they run training for fitness instructors, to train fitness instructors in a way that is completely contrary to the way that the world looks at fitness. They use it as an opportunity, as a tool to minister and to speak love and get people to encounter Jesus. And so I went on their website. It had it was every once in a while it would come up in front of me on social media, and I'd be like, oh, that's cool, and then totally disregard it. And I hadn't seen it in a while, and something popped up in front of me, so I thought, I'm gonna look at this and see what it is. And I just read the description, and I knew that this is something I needed to be a part of. This was aligning my heart with people being healthy and moving their bodies, but not out of body shaming or because they were disgusted or they felt obsessed about it or anything like that, but from a healthy perspective. But training started in a week. That was their next session, was that it started a week later. And I was like, wow, no, this is rest time. I shared with my husband, I said, I want to be a part of this, but I don't think the timing is right. And he agreed. He was in agreement that this is exactly in line with where your heart is. There was a session starting in the spring of 2018, and I said, well, that's the one I'll do. I'll just wait. We're entering a very busy time. I think that's why I had to say no to volleyball, is because it was just busy. It was, I just needed to enter a time of rest and not always be going. And we both agreed on that. And I was like, okay, well, the Lord wouldn't let it go. I just felt, I kept coming up, and I was arguing, I was wrestling, and I said, no, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this during football season. I want to rest. I don't want to do it. And he just wouldn't let it go. And so I brought it up again to my husband, and we both agreed, well, then this is something that you should do. So I signed up for the instructor training, and it was a 9-week long online course. And then at the end of the course, I would be traveling for an entire week to Arizona, be away from my family, go where I didn't know a single person, and get the hands-on training and ministering one-on-one with each of the instructors. And that was another thing. That was another financial commitment to get me out there to pay for this whole course. And another reason why I wanted to wait, but the Lord said, no, it's time, it's now. And so I did, and in the middle of that training, I had an opportunity to go to a Christian business conference down in North Carolina, and there was an opportunity there for God to encourage me to step out in faith in this vision that He had put in my heart a year prior. So I'm still online coaching. I'm in this training. I have a group fitness certification. I don't know what's coming next, other than each step, I just committed to the Lord. Okay, this is yours, and I don't want to get ahead of you. So in October of 2017, just last fall, I went to North Carolina to this conference, and we were given the opportunity to break up into groups depending on why you were there. What was your business? What was your ministry? If you were an online ministry, if you were network marketing, if you were a brick and mortar, actually owned a physical building or business or whatever. And we had to all go. And so I was online coaching. And so my pool was, well, this is what I'm currently doing, but I feel like the Lord's really pulling me into the brick and mortar, into a actual tangible business, a building. And I just decided in faith to walk and step over and go into the brick and mortar group. and it was amazing. God revealed so many different things about my personality. He gave me an opportunity to meet some women who really were able to speak life into the dream and encourage me that it's going to be great, because I was facing a lot of fear, again, as feeling unqualified. I don't have a college degree. I got pregnant when I was a senior in high school. I'm just a mom. And so I was battling all of these lies, all of these fears, and because I went there, it was an opportunity for God to just breathe life into this dream and really encourage me through people. And so I walked away from that knowing that, okay, like, I can do this. This is what we're going to do. When I came home, that was in October of 2017, and I drive by this little dance studio in our town several times a week, and I just felt the Lord tell me to stop in and ask if she would ever consider renting her space out for me to teach classes. Well, that would mean taking a step in faith and risk hearing the word no, and I put it off for a long time, and I didn't want to do it, and but every time I went by, I saw it, and it sat empty during the day. It would be a perfect space for me to come in during the day to teach classes. And so finally, the week before I would leave for Arizona, this retreat, I decided to stop in. I had reached out. I was, again, working with a business coach, and she said, your assignment is that before the next time we talk, for you to stop in and ask her. What was it going to hurt, right? My heart, it was going to hurt my feelings if I heard the word no. So I decided to drive up, and I sat in the car for about 10 minutes before I finally was able to go in. And she was the sweetest woman. She was very open to the idea. I shared that I was going to be gone for a week, but I'd love to get together when we get back and to discuss a little further as far as what it could be. But she was open to the idea. So I leave, I go on a retreat. I'm completely transformed there, and just come back just knowing full well that this is where God has me, and He has such great things planned through this ministry. And way long time ago, when God gave me the original vision for the studio, that I would have my own studio, I thought, oh, it's going to be called Living Fit and Free. I came up with this logo and everything. And so I come home from a retreat, and I meet up with this woman, and it's amazing. So I thought that I was just going to, as soon as I started teaching classes, it would be in my own studio. I never thought that I would be teaching in somebody else's building. I just always assumed it would be my building. Those friends of ours who are in the process of getting a building, I thought it was going to all be there. That was my thinking. I was going to come in, but all the while, my husband and I really are passionate about being debt-free and doing things God's way, and we did not want to go into it with any kind of debt. And going in ground level, we're not in a position, we didn't want to take on a business loan at the time. And so I was trying to figure out, well, how am I going to get into this building? Is God just going to give it to me? Is He going to provide, someone's going to give us all the money so that I can teach these classes there? And because that was my thinking. God gave me the studio, and that's where it was going to be. It was going to be headed in the direction of, I'm going to teach classes in this building. We're going to get up and running, and that's what it's going to look like. And that really stressed me out, because I'm not a businesswoman. I'm a social person. I like the interaction. I like the teaching part of it, and the business side I can just let to my husband. So anyways, but when he told me to stop in and ask this woman, I started to wonder, does this mean I won't ever have my own studio? And what will this look like? What will my friends think? Here I am getting all excited about opening a studio and sharing space with them. And now I feel like the Lord was leading me in a different direction. So lots of mental and emotional things going on. But so I got home, and I had a meeting with Kathleen, who is the owner of this studio, and it was a God connection. It was amazing. She was another believer, and she had been she's been wanting to bring someone in to share the space with her, and either it didn't work out with the other person, or she didn't feel like it was a good fit, and nothing had come to fruition. But she said that she had a really good feeling after our conversation. Our hearts were in line as far as what we wanted to do and why we wanted to teach, and there was just, the more we met, the more things we found out that we had in common. So we agreed that I could come and teach classes there, and she again, I said I wanted to do this debt free. And so I approached her and asked if, so obviously there's got to be some sort of exchange, not just, she's not going to just let me rent her building for nothing. So I approached her with a business proposal, and I said, would you consider letting me have the first month rent free so that I can just market this and I can promote this and I can try to get, because I'm starting at ground zero, no clients. I don't have anybody other than people who say they want to come, but no commitment. And so I don't know how much I'm going to make or how many people are even going to show up each week or each class. And she agreed to that. She said, absolutely. I've been in business for 30 years. I started in a gym. It was nice that I could come in and share space. So I'm honored to be able to do that for you. So God, right? And then moving forward, we have an agreement that as I make money, she makes money. And so there isn't an overhead cost that I will be out every month. And again, just God honoring that we took steps of obedience to do this in the way that he wanted us to do. So I just finished up week 2 of teaching classes, and it's just been absolutely phenomenal. The way that there was, like I said, there's been a lot of fears that I've had to confront, and some of them are what other people will think, because the way that I run my classes is not like your typical class. We do warm up, we do work out, we sweat, and then we do a cool down. But I use that cool down time and I extend it as a time to just really pour out what the message is that I feel God put in my heart for them. So I speak words of life over them, and I share scripture with them, and that's not something that most people are used to. We keep things separate, but I felt like, no, this is what God's called me to. And I really struggled with, should I teach classes this way? Should I just do the normal fitness things and then just offer like maybe a different kind of class for people who want to come in for that? But I really felt strongly one Sunday morning at church that the Lord said, I don't need just another fitness studio. I need you to be obedient, and I need you to do this. So I was like, okay, this is what my classes are going to look like. And I had to surrender the fact that if I have one, or if I have 20 girls or men show up in my class, I'm being obedient, and I'm doing what God wants. We don't have to worry about the results. We just have to be obedient to each step that he gives us and to walk that out. And one of the things that I had to realize is that sometimes that looks differently than what we have planned. And even though God gave me a vision to have a studio, that doesn't mean he's done. He's not done with me yet. And that's just another cool part of the story, is that the dance studio owner she actually tried to sell her building a couple of times, and it did not work. And so she, it almost sold, and it just, things fell through. So she's still there. She's definitely outgrown her space, and she has looked at other places, and she was actually invited to be a part of a building right beside my friend's building and open up a studio in there, but she went and she didn't feel like it was a right fit, and so she didn't. So there's just been a lot of opportunities for both of us to miss it and not come together, but God brought us together, and he has a really good plan moving forward for us. And she actually turns out that she's would be interested in possibly growing and expanding in the next year. And so God's just doing a lot of things right now, and I still don't know the end result. But what I do know is that when God puts a dream into our hearts, we have to be careful. Our response sometimes we as humans, we're like, okay, go, gotta move. And sometimes we get ahead of God. A lot of times we get ahead of God. And what we need to remember is to take it step by step. Be in prayer, quick to listen to his voice and be obedient to what he's telling you, because it may not pan out in the timeline that you're thinking, or it may be faster than you realize. And I think that happens. I think both those scenarios happen within the process of having this dream come to pass. And had I jumped on it and told my friends, you know what, I'm gonna do it, we're gonna get a business loan, we're gonna go into this, there would have been a lot of striving, there would have been a lot of and it could have failed. I believe that God uses things, and he will, even if as we mess up, he can still, if we're open to him, he can redirect us. But it would have just been a lot more difficult. Things would not have flowed. There's just been so many God things that have just happened already in this, and it went quickly in the last 2 months, of how God has just opened doors and allowed conversations to flow, and how things are going to be moving in the future. And so sometimes we get ahead of God, and we just need to remember to slow down and take it piece by piece, because it's exciting, and we want to be doing things that God has called us to do, but it's really important to just take it a little bit at a time. So that's kind of where I am. I'm really excited to see where God takes this, and I believe that there are good things in store, and that the story is not all told, and that there's more to come. So I guess my best advice is to be patient, really take the time to seek the Lord to find out what is His and what is your agenda, and He will be faithful to give you the next step. As you take steps in obedience, He will be faithful to bring you the next step. So we all know He doesn't give us the full picture. And I think a lot of times that's because we have a lot of growing. There's a lot of things that need to happen or to change, or other pieces of the puzzle that need to be brought in, other people to be ready to meet you when it's time to move forward. And yeah, it's amazing. So I hope this is encouraging to you as you pursue the dream that God's put in your heart. I will say, one of the biggest things in the very beginning was God had to lay down some of the lies that I had believed about myself, that I was unqualified, that I was just a mom, that who am I mindset. I had to really make sure that those lies were broken off, and that my identity was not in that, and that it was in Him. And also that in the first couple of months after He gave me that, I was so consumed by the dream that I allowed my identity and my life to be consumed by the dream. And so I think, just if you remember to keep an open hand mindset, that, God, I know You've put this dream in my heart, and it's Yours, and be willing, like when we close fisted, this is mine, and I'm gonna go gung-ho. God He can't put blessing into it, but when we keep an open hand, He can move things that need to be moved. He can pour blessing in that needs to be put there, and He can just speak to our heart. But when we close our fists so tightly around whatever it is that He's given, we can put that up as an idol and as a priority, even above Him. Even a God-given dream, we can rise above actually seeking after the Lord. So yeah, I'm excited to see what God does, and I just pray that this is a blessing to you too. Have a great weekend. Bye.